Okay, guys, we're back. We're going to do a little Shirley. Now, the paper we're going to use is the one that I copied of our last chapter right before we left, the last page from chapter 8. And I just got this paper out and I copied it for you. It's in your folder. And it's Classroom Checkup 40. I just want to review a few things and you can work it for practice, and then tomorrow we'll start with our new chapter, okay? Tomorrow when you open up, or the next time you open up your next couple of lessons, you'll need a piece of notebook paper and your irregular verb list, okay? So make sure you have that tomorrow, okay, whenever we do that. But today we're going to do Classroom Checkup 40 as review. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the first sentence, and if you'll remember, we're in pattern 3. So let's look at this sentence and identify things that we see before we get started. The first thing I see is the word and, okay? So I know something in this sentence is compound, okay? And then I look and I see the preposition on. On what? Plate. So that's my object of the preposition, so I'm going to go ahead and put it in parentheses and get it out of the sentence, okay? And then I recognize the possessive pronoun adjective your, and that is PPA, answering whose, okay? So I've got these things done. This does not mean that I don't have to do my question answer flow. It's so important, guys, you do the question answer flow, because we're fixing to learn a new pattern after this one, okay? So remember, this is the subject, noun, verb, transitive, direct object, pattern 2 pattern, okay? So we're going to first read the sentence. Put some cheese slices and bread on your plate. Who put some cheese slices and bread on the plate? Well, we know that's going to be you, understood. So I write it in parentheses and make it a subject pronoun. What is being said about you? You put. Verb. You put what? Now let's look and see. What are we going to put? Slices and bread. Okay? So we're going to do direct object, and we have to see if we can verify that. You put what? Slices, bread. Verify the noun. Is slices and bread the same as you? No. Direct object, direct object. And since there's 2 of them, it's compound, we have to put the C in front of each D-O, okay? And then we and then it says on, preposition. On what? Plate, object of the preposition. Whose plate? Your, possessive pronoun adjective. What kind of slices? Cheese, adjective. How many slices? Some, adjective. Subject, noun, verb, transitive, direct object, pattern 2. Skill check. Put, verb, transitive. Check again. On your plate, prepositional phrase. Then we look at this, we see you, we have the subject you, so we're going to have an imperative sentence, period, command, imperative sentence. Go back to the verb, divide the complete subject from the complete predicate. Is this sentence in natural or inverted order? Natural, no change. And I'll let you do the other 2. You've already done them, so you should be pretty good. Now we're going to go down to the next section. And guys, when you have these directions, you have to read them. So make sure this one has 4 different things to do. And a lot of you didn't do some of the things you needed to do. The first thing you have to do is what? Underline. Underline the word underline. And it says the verb and the verb phrase. A verb phrase is the main verb with a helping verb. Okay? So you need to circle verb and verb phrase. Number 2 is identify the verb tense by writing 1 for present tense, 2 for past tense, and 3 for future tense. That's what you do in the verb tense column. Then it says write the past tense form. Well, the past tense form, if it's a regular verb, you just add ed. Remember, we add Ed, and Ed was a regular guy, and he's in the past, okay? So remember that, okay? Because Mr. Ed passed, didn't he? Okay, and then we have, so we know if it has ed on the end, it's going to be a regular verb. Then we have to have our verb chart in order to do any irregular verbs. Notice that they said verb or verb phrase, guys. Verb phrase will have a helping verb, but we have to find out if that helping verb is in the present tense or past tense. So we have to answer that at the very bottom of this paper right here where it says present tense and past tense. So let's go ahead and do those helping verbs. So we'll have them to go by, okay? So in the present tense, verbs are am, is, are, has, have, do, and does. Now guys, you should already have these memorized. If you haven't, you better work on them. Okay? And then the next is the past tense verb, and we start out with was, were, had, did, and been. Okay, so now we have those, and we can just go down and look at those and see as we do our sentences up here. Now let's look at the first sentence. Colorful leaves fell in my yard in October. Now I gotta find the verb first. Make sure I got the right verb. So I say, what fell in my yard in October? Leaves, subject noun. What's being said about leaves? Leaves fell. So there's my verb. So now I need to underline. It says fall. Okay, so it's present tense here. So what tense is this? Fall. Present tense. What is the past tense? That's number 1. Past tense is fell. And I'm changing the way it's spelled. I have a vowel change. So what kind of verb is that? Well, it's irregular. We didn't add ed. We didn't put ed on it, so it's irregular. Remember, Ed's a regular guy. Ed. If it has ed, the past tense, to make the past tense of the verb, you add ed. It's regular. Okay? Now, let's do the second sentence. Carrie closed the door very quietly. Who closed the door very quietly? Carrie, subject noun. What's being said about Carrie? Carrie closed. So I underline that. Guys, you have to do the directions. You have to underline it. That's points. What do we see at the end of this word? Ed. So that tells us right away that's past tense. So I'll put 2 over here because number 2 is past tense. And what is the past tense of the main verb? Well, it's just like it's written. Closed. Has ed on the end of it, so it's regular. Anything with ed on the end is a regular verb, showing the past tense. Okay, my friends are listening to music. We see here the word are, which is a helping verb, and are listening. What's being said about friends? Subject noun. They are listening. Okay, and here's my helping verb. So I have to look at this helping verb, and that tells me what tense is in. When it has the verb phrase, you have to look at the helping verb, okay? So it's are, and we find are in the present tense. So we'll make that number 1. What is the past tense of listening? Listened. And you always ask yourself, can you add ed to the main verb? And it sound right. And we did. So this is got ed on it, so it's a regular verb. So that's how you do the rest of that sheet. Does that ring a bell? So, and then you know how to do the paragraph. You have to do the go by the guide. In the guide it has what you're going to be looking for, 3 end marks, so that means you got 3 sentences in this. Find your capitals. Well, we know every beginning word in the sentence is going to be capitalized, and then you just got to find 2 more. There's 1 comma, 2 homonyms, so that means you're going to have to change the spelling of 2 words, and then there's 2 apostrophes. So we're going to look at S's at the word and see if they're either a possessive noun or if there's a contraction in the paragraph, okay? And then complete this. That should be enough today for reminding you of what we went over right before you left for spring break. And tomorrow we'll start our new chapter, okay? See you tomorrow.